Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got big Yu-Gi-Oh news. First and foremost, we're looking at the information on next week's reveal cycle for the new core set Darkwing Blast, which means if you don't know, Konami's been doing this for over a year now. Whenever a core set's coming out, they will give a couple of specific topics for different YouTubers who focus on Yu-Gi-Oh content to pretty much highlight specific parts of the set. So here we go. They don't tell you who's going to do it, but they tell you in what order. So first and foremost, we're going to get Blackwing, which I believe will be on Monday. Usually they just start. Okay. We'll be starting a day early on Sunday. Okay, so this one's actually Sunday. There you go. I'm glad I looked, because if I didn't, I would have just assumed this was Monday. So Sunday, we are going to get Blackwing highlights. Monday, we are going to get Ninja. Very, very cool. Blah, blah, blah. Tuesday, we're going to get BYSSTED, which is very cool. I mean, kind of interesting. I like BYSSTED a little bit more, but BYSSTED's not so far off. It's not egregious in my opinion, but that is going to be the official name for that BYSSTED archetype in the TCG, which is cool. And then we also have Goatee, which I believe will be on Wednesday, which is very, very huge. They show artwork for this, which is just straight up 6 new artworks, which is very cool. And I think there was also one other artwork shown that I don't think is here. So I think they just straight up are confirming that there's going to be 7 new cards. We kind of thought there were going to be 7 cards, but the fact that it's confirmed is nice, because I think the archetype definitely needs a lot of help, so hopefully that'll be good. But just so you know, that's there. Now we're looking at like the legit stuff. So we also have 2 new reveals. We have a new BYSSTED or BYSSTED card for Photon Hypernova revealed tonight, which is huge. This archetype looks crazy. It is like oh my gosh, Tearlament. Which is awesome. They're all like inherent DD Crows versus light and dark decks. And then also a new SWORDSOUL monster, which could be huge. SWORDSOUL has a fair amount of hits in the OCG. Not really like any hits in the TCG. So we'll see. All right, but let's get into this thing. Starting off here, we have BYSSTED Baldrake. Here we go. Baldrake, whatever you want to call him. He looks cool. I like him. He has a little tiny baby head, which is funny. But yeah, basic BYSSTED stuff that we've seen. Level 6 Dark Dragon, 25, 2000 for the stat line. So just one of the basic level 6s, not like Lubellion, if you know what the archetype's already about. But he has 2 hard once return effects as basic with all the other ones. The first one is the same effect that all other BYSSTEDs have, right? Target a later dark monster in grave as cost, banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Cool. This is a quick effect if your opponent already controls a monster. Very insane. That means versus stuff like Tearlament, these cards are like crazy. Secondly, if your opponent special summons a ritual, fusion, synchro, exceed, and or link monster, you contribute one other light or dark monster, then target one of those summoned monsters, banish it. Hoo-wee! This card feels really insane. This is a really nice bonus effect. We do already technically have like a removal card for the BYSSTEDs, which is, I don't remember his name. I want to say it's Saranir, unless it's the other one. I honestly can't remember their names, which one is which. But the one that says like if it leaves the field, you can target a monster, and I think it returns it to the hand if it leaves the field, which is fine, which is cool, but it's not a quick effect. This one, if you summon it, as long as you have any other light or dark monster on the field, it is also just an interruption. And what's crazy is you're like, oh, but like it is a trigger and like your opponent has to kind of play into it. And I'm like, okay, but they literally listed every extra deck mechanic and ritual summoning, which means your opponent, if they ever even attempt to go into the extra deck, they are playing into this card. And it's a banish, which is also really, really strong. It's not like a pop. It's not a bounce or whatever. It is a banish. The card's probably just gone. This is a really, really powerful card. I quite like it. Also, if you're a lair player like myself, his bonus effect is... I was already looking at potentially throwing this archetype into lair, but now even more so because of this guy now. Tribute one other light or dark. If you put lair up, you're just tributing an opponent's monster to then banish another opponent's monster. Absolutely insane. Really, really cool card. Love to see it. He's a nice addition for sure. I'm sure we will see him in some decks. I feel very confident about that. Secondly, we have our new SWORDSOUL card. This is SWORDSOUL Dragon of the Abyss. His artwork looks insane. Love it. He's a level 8 Fireworm special summon effect monster. He is a level 8, 3000, 2900 defense. Cannot be normal summoner set. Must be special summoned by a worm monster's effect. Okay. You can only use the first and second effects of this card once per turn each. If a monster is banished by card effect, you can special summon this card from the graveyard if it was there when the monster was banished, or the hand even if not. But banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, so this card does get banished when it leaves the field, but not a huge deal because it seems fairly easy to summon. It just says it does say card effect, so that's the one difference. It makes the card a little bit weirder because I look at stuff like, your Gizmex, your Serpentine Slasher Gizmek, because he banishes his cost. Anything else that banishes his cost does not necessarily work. It has to be something that's banishing by effect, which does change things a little bit, but I still think that's doable enough to where this card is still like really solid as far as extending itself onto the field. So cool. Secondly, if this card is special summoned, period, which by the way, it can still be special summoned by other worm effects, so keep that in mind. You can target one card in the field zone and one card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. Banish them. That's pretty good. So if it's just special summoned whenever, target a card in the field zone and a card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. Wow, so the one thing here is, though, there has to be a card in the field zone. So whether it's yours, whether it's your opponent, there does have to be a card there. Unfortunately, SWORDSOUL is one of those archetypes that has a Rhoda card that is not a field spell. It is a regular spell, so this deck doesn't inherently set this up as easily, but there are a lot of archetypes that do play field spells, so it's not the hardest thing in the world. I mean, we look at Tyr. Sprite doesn't necessarily play one, but now it looks like Kshatriy Law could be a new up-and-coming deck that needs to play one. So there's always decks that need to play field spells for sure. But being able to banish cards on field and in the graveyard is pretty freaking strong regardless. So pretty cool card. I could see this card as a potential one-of in the deck for sure because it's like a main deck boss monster that gives you like extra potential. It's pretty cool. So being able to like get it either on field or pitch it off of, that's the other thing too, is not, what's the other one? Not Moye, the one that pitches, Longwan, pitch it to like get it engrave, and then if you just banish something whenever, he's coming back and then giving you another interruption if there's a field spell on field, which is pretty cool. So does give you some really cool potential. He also gives you extra OTK potential. He has a really big body, so you got to respect him. Do I think this card's insane? Not necessarily. I think his restrictions are pretty fair, and I don't know if the archetype necessarily facilitates him as much as I would like them to, but I do think he could be worth the play, especially since, so many cards in the archetype or not even so many, but like a couple cards in the archetype give you discard outlets pretty consistently. So cool. He gives you value in grave. But yeah, we'll take it. Pretty cool, all things considered. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the SWORDSOUL card we needed to get them back into top tier meta. There's still a solid rogue deck, but I think that's where they'll probably still remain as of this card releasing. But this card's nice. I mean, BYSSTED's already going to be a meta-affecting archetype for sure. Tyr already looks like the best deck, but these guys are definitely there to check them, so I'm sure we'll see a fair amount of this archetype, and this guy's just another good name added onto there. So we'll take it. Also, like this guy paired with the other one, the Magnamut, which searches another dragon, period. So you just search this guy, then he's summoning himself, and now you already will have the Magnamut on field to be able to tribute for this guy if your opponent tries to go extra deck. It's pretty dang good. So I like it. Very, very cool, all things considered. These cards will definitely go down as cards I'm more interested in. I will say this set, I think we're about almost exactly halfway through the set. Pretty underwhelming overall so far for me, I will say. Outside of like the Evil Eye and the Generator cards, I've not been super interested in anything really. But these cards will definitely go in as like more interesting stuff to me. But we'll see. Hopefully more reveals on the way next week because we're like straight up 2 weeks away from the set being out in the OCG. So 40 cards in like 14 days. Sign me up. Very excited, but I'll keep you updated with any news that drops there. So thank you so much for paying attention here, for following me. Let me know your thoughts down below on the new cards. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe if you have not yet. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.